All right. Good morning, all. Thanks for joining us again this Tuesday. Um, Coach Amplo got a big win this past weekend against Boston, an undefeated team. What'd you see out of Navy this past week?
It was the tale of two, I wouldn't say halves, but two parts of the game. I was actually just typing my alumni email, and I threatened to show clips of the Bad News Bears to our guys yesterday in film. But I think the time of where we are in the world, and certainly my age relative to the players, I don't think they would have appreciated it. But I felt like Buttermaker for a little while during the third and fourth quarter of our game. I am proud of the guys for handling that. I think it's a hard thing in sports once you get a negative emotion and you get a pile of negative plays. It's a really challenging thing to pull yourself out of, and our guys eventually did. Luckily, we had built enough of a cushion that while we were threatened, we weren't threatened enough that the game was ever in question, where it looked like it could have been for a short while there in the fourth quarter. So I think the positive is it gives us a chance to work on some of the mistakes and understand those moments will exist, and hopefully snap out of it a little bit quicker the next time it does happen.
All right, Wags, we'll start off with you.
Well, Joe, I wanted to find out where you are with your face-off situation. Um, you're down two guys against Boston University. Do you expect Zach or Colin to be back in time to play against Lehigh?
It is doubtful for both of them. There's a chance we may see Colin, but it is doubtful at this point. There will be a face-off team out there for every face-off. That I can promise you, Wax. So we will take face-offs on Friday night with players who have worked their tails off to this point. I thought Joey Bucci did a reasonably well job against their good face-off guys. The freshman that they put in there is excellent. So I thought he handled himself fairly well. And then we've got Rory Blanchard, and David Graham, and Max Thomas that will also give us hopefully a little bit of a boost. But it's a team event. We're going to continue to make it a team event, not only the face-off game, but also just the event in general. We've got 60 other players that make up this team, and while we will miss Zach and Colin, they are not the only players out there. So we're just going to continue to make the team the most important thing.
So for Zach in particular, does it look like this is long term, or is it week to week, or what?
It's week to week in terms of the evaluation, and what that means is a little bit fluid. Truthfully, he's in a brace right now just to let him rest and heal, and then once that brace comes off, which is any day, they'll reevaluate his mobility and his strength, and then give us an idea of, okay, this is going to be a little bit more than we expected, or he's closer to being able to come back. So it's hard to give you a direct answer, but I know he's not available for this weekend. That's for sure.
So I mean, it is somewhat concerning when you lose your top two guys. Do you try not to put so much pressure on Bucci or whomever else is at the draw, but more on the wings to help this guy out and make it a team event?
You try your best, but the reality is that face-off guys, and this young man Andrew Dow specifically from Lehigh is excellent, and most face-off guys who do get control, they win the ball to themselves. So the days of let's put a pole up there or let's double pole and try and make it a wing event, it's a lot more challenging with the ability of these face-off guys. I know that there's many people who have suggested that to me. However, it's not a great strategy at some points, because you run the risk of wearing out your important players who, if you don't win the face-off, have to go and play defense. So it'd be great just to throw AJ Marsh up there and have him run at him, but AJ will get tired, and if he doesn't win it. So that's a strategy we may use, but we may not use, because we have to be smart to be able to play some defense.
Quick note, Wags, it's Sean Dow.
I'm sorry, not Andrew Dow.
That's all right. Andrew, of course,
Sean
played
Dow.
for us,
Yeah.
just in case you would use that.
Thanks
Tim
for
Nolan.
correcting me. He's a heck of a player, that's for sure.
He is. Tim?
Coach, you talked about wanting your team to be more intense, particularly the ground ball battle. 21 against Penn State. You didn't want that to happen again. 40 against BU. How were you pleased with that category for your team?
Yeah, I was very pleased. I thought right from the get-go, even on that first offensive possession, Aiden Duraco, I think, set the tone for us. Truthfully, he's a young man who is earning some time, and we put in a little bit of a play for him. The first offensive possession, he gets open, takes a great shot. Their goalie makes a great save, and Aiden picks up a really tough ground ball around the crease, and we wind up scoring in that ensuing possession. And I think that set the tone for us. And that was the mantra, like you said, all week. To have 21 ground balls going into the half is a wild stat, and then finish with 40, I think, is extremely appropriate when we do get a very good win in league. To land on 40 as our number for ground balls is appropriate for our guys. I'm very, very happy with that.
You also held the Terriers to just 9 goals. AJ just picked up Patriot League Defensive Player of the Week. What did you like from that unit and the way they locked down BU?
I just felt like they were extremely connected. I think elite defenses, they certainly have really good pieces, but the connection piece, how well they play together, how they support one another, how connected they are in their movements and implementing their strategy. I think that's the key to elite defenses. And I think we saw long glimpses of that on Saturday. There were certainly some breakdowns, but that's more of a credit to BU. Good teams are going to make good plays. But for the most part, we were extremely connected on the back end of our defense, which allowed us to hold them down for stretches.
You got a local kid that you're facing between the pipes this week in Casey Heath, Lehigh's sophomore. What have you seen from him on film that you hope to attack this weekend?
Yeah, he's a kid I remember. We tried to recruit him. He was not interested in the academy, but a Kent Island kid who knows some of our players and some of our staff members from over in Kent Island. He's excellent. He's big. He's got good hands. He plays position really well. When he starts hot, he's as good as anybody. He's saving the ball at close to 60% clip right now, which is a great number for anybody, but also given the competition that Lehigh has faced. They're playing some really tough teams, and he's playing as well as any goalie that I've seen this year.
Thanks, Joe.
Dave Ryan with CBS Sports Network. Dave, I didn't know if you were hopping on just to listen since we're doing our conference call tomorrow, but
yeah, I thought the more the better, Stacy. The more the better.
Rhino, what's up, man? How
you doing, Joe? Good to see you, man. What's happening?
Not much, buddy.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I'm just diving in from hoops. I got your game, then hoops in DC afterwards. So much basketball, Joe. But should we expect Joey to begin the game in the faceoff dot then? Just look at your numbers from BU.
Yeah, we're going to start Joey Buzzi, we think. Yeah. We'll see how practice goes this week, but he's earned it up to this point, and David Graham will be right there, and Rory Blanchard might be a third option. That's at least the plan today on Tuesday.
Got it. Okay. Overall, Joe, what do you really like about this team? You're up to a great start. Big win over the Terriers in Patriot League play. What are the positives that we can talk about?
Well, I just think the team. Like you mentioned, what do I like about this team? I like the team. I think we've got some good players. I think there's some potentials of stars eventually. If some things continue for them. But to me, it's been the team aspect of it. In some of our earlier games, like we've had 8, 9, 10 different goal scorers. Defensively, it seems like there's a different person each week that we get to highlight in our film sessions. And I think the guys buy into that. They're certainly not perfect with it, but they're closer than ever to where we want to be since I've been here with the whole team, like everybody is on this thing and in this thing together. To me, that's the most pleasing thing. And I mentioned this last week. A great example of that to me was when Colin Shadowins got hurt, our faceoff guy in the first faceoff last week. We had known Zach Hayashi, who's the guy that everybody talks about, was out. So Colin goes in. The guys were excited for him. He gets knocked in the head, the first one. And it's almost like an instant deflation on most teams when that happens. You've got a kid who's the second guy going in for one of our emotional leaders, and oh, yikes, this guy gets knocked out, right? Like there could be this instant deflation. I'm walking off the field with this kid who's in La La Land, and I felt this emotion from the team they were excited, not because the kid was hurt, but they wanted to see what Joey Bucci can do. They truly wanted to see this kid get his shot. And I thought that was really cool. And to me, a sign of, man, we're pretty connected as a group.
Love that. Love that. In general, Joe, I know you spoke about the GB numbers. How about other stats that we can talk about on the broadcast Friday that you like to aspire to?
Yeah, I mean, we have been extremely efficient offensively in like the 22nd to 42nd range of our possessions. I think we're number one in the country in that area, which is pretty good, And for us, for me, that means that we are playing really quickly, but not too quickly, and we're not being forced to play that late in the shot clock, because that puts more pressure on you. So our efficiency numbers are right where we want them to be in that middle range of a possession. So that's one thing. It's tough to calculate that during the games, but I think if you see us getting good shots in that 30 to 40-second range of the shot clock, that means we're clicking on pretty good cylinders if we don't get transition. And for us, we try and focus on the defensive end, Rhino, on just shots on goal. We were able to hold BU to 20 shots on cage last week. They were averaging 26, and that's a huge number. That allows us to give our goalie a chance. And I think it's a combination of good team defense. It's a combination of clearing the ball well, winning some faceoffs and being efficient on the offensive end. It's not just a defensive strategy. It's really a whole team strategy that gets you to a number like that.
Love it. Don't want to take up too much time, Stacey. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave. I'm not sure who iPhone 6 is.
That's me, Steve Penarelli. What's up?
Hey, Pants.
Oh,
hey,
we don't get to see the face?
You don't want to see this right now. No.
Yes,
no.
we do. Come on. Cuse legend, baby.
What's up, Amps? Amplo, what's going on, buddy? How you been?
Nothing much, man. Good to hear from you.
Absolutely. So we're still going tomorrow, right? That's the deal?
We are. Yep. You want to hold on for that?
Yeah, because the things I want to say to him sometimes aren't PG. So we'll, with other media members here, I'll save it for tomorrow.
Okay, terrific. Coach, I have a quick one. It's a little tongue in cheek, but Mac Haley's brother is now on the Lehigh staff. What does that present an uncomfortable situation for Mac? Does TJ have some secrets he can pass along to Lehigh?
Well, here's why I don't worry about that, because we were blessed to be guests at the military appreciation night for the Washington Capitals last week. And we walked into the reception and Mr. Haley was there, and he was surprised to see us. And I was surprised that he was surprised because his son was with us. So that told me that they don't really communicate on a daily basis in the Haley family. So I'm hoping that continues. But I was just joking with Mac right now. A few minutes ago, I asked him if him and TJ have talked any smack together, but he says that they haven't. I think it'll be fun for their family to watch those guys compete in different roles, and certainly exciting for TJ and for Mac. But I don't worry about that stuff. I think they're both professionals and will do the right thing.
Wags?
Well, can you kind of give a little scouting report on Lehigh? They're the defending Patriot League champion, but they're off to a 1-4 start, which is somewhat deceiving since 3 of their opponents are ranked in the top 25. And Rutgers is no slouch either, even though they are not ranked.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's done a really good job scheduling, Will, and he's put together a heck of a schedule. So their record does not tell the story of who they are, and especially their last 2 games where they went 1 goal with Richmond, who is playing excellent, and they ran away. I don't want to say run away, but they ran away from Villanova in the 4th quarter. And Villanova is a good team that's beaten some people. So I think they're getting better as the year has gone on, even early in this year. Like I said earlier, their faceoff kid, Sean Dow, is excellent. Their goalie, Casey Heath, is excellent. Anytime you have those 2 players who are playing the way that they have played, you've got a chance in any game. And traditionally, Lehigh plays a very annoying, stubborn style against us. And we expect some of that. we also expect to see some of what we've seen on film. They've been a little bit more aggressive on defense, and Richard Checo is as big of a nuisance as there is in our game. And he's been a nuisance and a thorn in our side the past couple of years. I think they truly know who they are, and I give Will and his staff a tremendous amount of credit. They've got an identity. They stick with it. Their kids buy into it, and they're really good at it. Offensively, they know where to be. They're there on schedule, and they do it deliberately and with intensity. They don't ride as much as other teams. They clear very well. They face off great, and defensively, they do a lot of different things, but they do them well. So we expect this to be a tremendous challenge for us. It always is, even more so this year, given certain circumstances. But I do think it's going to be a great Patriot League battle, even early in this season, with two teams who are hungry for a win.
Obviously, the regular season game there was in a torrential downpour, and then you played them again in the tournament. You mentioned Checo; he has caused you problems, and I think Dakota's has scored a good number of goals on you guys as well. They got a lot of the same faces back from last year, or have they suffered significant losses?
Yeah, they had two big misses on offense, but they're guys who have stepped in for them have been excellent. The ball's in the kid Kelly's stick a little bit more, and he turned into be a very good player last year. And Dakota is now playing some attack. He's a very dynamic dodger and a great shooter. They've got a great freshman, Luke Breslin, who's going to be a really good player. Their kid Grant Rodney at the midfield is a proven player who scored some goals for them last year. And we got some really good young kids who've got a bright future on the offensive end. Defensively, they don't miss much. They've got some really tough, confident, strong, physical players that are going to come after you when they play man defense. And then when they get into their zone, they've always been extremely good in their zone because they've had good pieces, but it's also a very good scheme.
Wags, anything else? You good?
No, I'm also.
Tim?
Yeah, Joe, another standout from that win over BU. Jack Flaherty goes for a career high 6 points. What have you liked from his development, and what are you looking for as Patriot League play rolls on here?
I thought he let the game come to him. I don't think he pressed too much. Maybe had one or two turnovers where I thought he played a really clean game. And I think that's his biggest challenge. When he plays a clean game and doesn't try and do too much, he can have a day where he's 3-3. He hit the shots that he needed to hit, and he was very efficient in his passing. But mostly, I felt like he was in control. And I think the offense allowed him to do that. He fit well into the scheme and did his job.
Also, don't know how much you read into these kinds of things, but with a win over Lehigh, you'd have your best start since you took over as the head man in Navy. How much have you been impressed with the way that this program under you just continues to improve and grow?
It's not me. It truly is a credit to the staff and these players. They've bought into the culture that we have tried to develop here in a really meaningful way. And we've been lucky to find some success here to start the season. There's a long way to go, and our job right now is to be critical of ourselves and just get better each week, because it's not what you do in February or March. You got to continue to improve and fight to get some wins here as the season continues. But more importantly, really work on getting better. Because it's a long way to go. A lot of things are going to happen. So while we're pleased with our start, we cannot be satisfied. We have to continue to be critical and hard on ourselves just so we can improve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I got one, Stace.
Yeah.
I believe you're 1-for-1 on challenges this year. I guess my question is, what goes into challenging a play? Is it a staff? You're the one with the flag, so ultimately you're the guy that has to throw it. But is there input from the staff? Is it just you? Is there someone that wants to challenge everything and is never right? What goes into that?
Well, it can't be too windy. First of all, we're going to make sure we got the replay. That's my tongue in cheek to you, Scotty. But for me, I'll rely on the staff a little bit. We were blessed to have the iPads and the camera angles that you all give us. We've got that feed. Mostly, it comes down to their input and then just my instinct. Like on Saturday, I didn't need their input. I felt like, okay, it was just something I felt, and I just threw the flag without asking. But typically, I will ask, and I tell the staff, I blame them when we miss. So it's tough because you don't have a perfect view of it, but I think we have as good of a view as anybody in our sport because of where you guys put the cameras and position us to get a look at it. But yeah, it's a nerve-wracking feeling, that's for sure. But I do like it. I think it's good for the sport. It's good for the game.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
And yes,
David,
40-mile-an-hour winds make it impossible.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Joe, what would your keys be to victory then? We won't share this, of course, with Lehigh, just maybe generically.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're just controlling tempo with them. Like that's the thing. We've got to somehow take them out of their tempo style, and how you do that. I mean, we've got some ideas, but it's a really hard thing to do. Because they've done such a good job with their identity over the years, and I really think Will Scudder is one of the great young coaches in our sport, and he's got that team just like he did last year. He's got their eyes and ears and their hearts and souls. And they're 1-4 or whatever their record is right now. They don't matter. They're going to compete for our league championship. That's for sure. And I'm starting to see that now with how they play. So for us, we have to be in control with what we can do based on our plan. And I won't give you those answers now. I'll talk to you a little bit about it tomorrow behind closed doors. Sure. All right.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe.
You got
Good
it.
to see you, man. Look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
I have a quick one. I think Joe now with Jack Norton's goal on Saturday. I think we've had 22 different players score for us this year. I think the record is like 24. We've kind of taken that, or you guys have taken that team mentality instead of a specific superstar. Has that benefited us this year?
I think it has to. It's truly what we've been trying to build here. We would all like the superstar. I think no one's going to turn their back to a superstar. But my hope is that a superstar emerges from the pack. To me, I've always said this, while recruiting is extremely important, we work our tails off in it. We are in the business of player development, and sometimes it's a slow, long turn to get to that point where you see the dividends, and people need to be patient and understanding that it's a slow, long turn. And we're starting to see some of the benefits of that, and the hope is that some of these guys from that 22 or somewhere else start to emerge as guys that people will say, well, that's a potential superstar. We don't necessarily need it because I'd rather have a group of men, but it would be nice if a few guys do step up and emerge as the guys that we can point to.
Any other questions for Coach Amplo?
Great stuff. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Stacy. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks all.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Scott.
What's up, Dave?